Welcome back to another Purpose Served podcast episode. I'm your host, Daryl Wingfield, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. We embarking on a new year. It is now 2023. At the time of this recording, is literally January 1st. Hope you guys had a great New Year's Eve. Enjoyed yourselves, man, and do anything stupid. Nah, man, but like hopefully you guys had fun. I had a pretty chill New Year's, man. I literally ain't go nowhere, I ain't do nothing. I was in bed. That's like been the past like 3 New Years, man. But there's a really big struggle that's been going on, in regards to us collectively as people, and this struggle is not new. The struggle has been here since the beginning of time. Um, and I'm talking about the struggle between, you know, our mind, our feelings, who we think we are, what we feel as though we should be doing, and also, in this day and age, modern era, quote unquote, people seeking to be an individual, you know, and not necessarily really understanding the totality of what that really mean, what they really asking for, and how difficult that task actually is to become an individual. You know, um, I've talked about this so many times with social media and how that has like a huge part to play in it, and just media in general, TV, movies, all of that. You know what I mean? It's just a glamorized lifestyle. You know what I mean, of the life that we live every single day. And we get caught up in stories. That's why I talk about the hero's journey all the time, because that motif is like freaking true, man. Like to the core, you see real life stuff through this thing. But ultimately, the struggle is, I would want to say, in the context of purpose served, reaching your maximum potential, you know, and along the journey that I'm still on that journey, along with you guys. Um, I personally noticed a lot, and it made me start doing my research. It made me start, really digging to see what's going on. Why did I want to do this in the first place? You know, and I still don't know. Which is like kind of crazy, which is a part of my personal struggle, is now just, trying to get the root of myself and why I had the instincts that I do, you know, and why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I think the way that I think, why I feel the way that I feel. And for those of you that's on that path of, self actualization, self realization, these are things that you're going to keep coming across, you know. So it's very important that you start to become aware of these things and really, start looking, within and also without, to truly understand why you're here and what you should be doing. In the last previous podcast episodes, I gave a rundown on the different stages of intention and the tools for, building intention and building goals and building consistency. And throughout my life, that personally helped me, um with, just like, for example, my vision of playing basketball that started at 14. The struggle came from everything that transpired after I made that decision. And on this podcast, I try to make myself extremely clear that the ideas that you have, is, it's not grounded in reality. There's elements of reality in it, but it's not real until you make it real, and it feels real, and you think it's real, but it'll never come about. You know, and the only reason I'm talking about the struggle and all of that, this is New Year, New Me time. It's January 1st. Everybody probably like trying to get in the gym. Everybody trying to start forming new habits, trying to transform and be a different person. But in order to do that, your old self has to die off. So this episode is gonna be really, really intense. I'm not even gonna lie. um, I don't know. I don't know if you guys like that intensity or not. But I'm an intense fellow. Um, but this, I lost a decent amount of friends, people that's close to me, based off of what I'm talking about literally right now, where I personally got to the point where I got tired of hearing ideas all the time, and I'm the person that's like putting things into action. So at the age of 14, I'm 28 currently right now. I just turned 28 in October, but 14 years, doubling up on that process and being unaware of my actions and how I was building them up, but just having this vision. But I had to just keep doing. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I had to be doing something. It just couldn't stay in my head. My I couldn't allow it. You know what I mean? My instincts couldn't allow it, and I do see people that have ideas and they don't act on them at all. You know what I mean? And it's years and years and years and years, and things change so rapidly, so quickly. And I personally believe that time is moving faster. I really do believe time is moving faster. Especially since the pandemic. Who would have thought that that was like 2 years ago? It feels way longer than that, to be quite honest. But that's where we at with it. You know, and the struggles ultimately come from you, like I said, dissolving your ego, dissolving your pride, letting go of limited beliefs, surrendering to a lot of things, you know what I mean, instead of fighting against it, you know. And there's a counterintuitive nature to life itself, and I noticed that through personally who I am and what I've done. Um, if you've been listening to this podcast throughout the years, these 2 years, you'll notice that for me, I'll go headstrong into a situation, you know, and it'll get me in trouble, you know, before I even started doing this podcast. From my background from 5, 6 years ago and everything that I was getting into, that was the struggle of me trying to play basketball, in college, and it wasn't working. Ended up dropping out of college and then ending up partying and doing, the typical young adult stuff. Is not nothing unique. A lot of people do that to escape their daily problems and everything. But there comes a moment when you go behind closed doors and you're going to have to look at yourself and be real with yourself on where you are and what you've been doing. And for me, I didn't like that ugly truth when I stared at myself and I didn't know where to start. And the best place to start is, like I said, that vision that you have and creating a plan for this vision and acting out the behavior and putting yourself in the right setting. That's bringing that vision down to reality, not in your head, not in this place where, you know what I mean, where it's formless. What do I mean by formless? When you think about emotions, do you think about a form? Do you think about a color? Do you think about solid matter? You don't. You know what I mean? That's the same thing with thoughts. It's formless, but when when somebody says something to piss you off, you know what I mean? They can't see how you feel, well, they can't see that actual emotion, but they can see how you feel based off how you express yourself through that interaction. That's how people are able to see the form and the formless. And it's some deep, deep history, within that and how things travel above to below, and with the process that I'm even talking about, it's essentially the same thing. Um, Ideas, all of these things, they take shape in a higher realm of existence. And the more you keep acting it out, the more you keep grounding this thing in reality and you're bringing it down, you know. And if we're going on a process, that I was talking about in the previous podcast episode, you got the creation. That's like the crown of the experience of the intention stages. And at the opposite end. If we talking about north south, east to west, you guys can reverse it. I guess flip it for the camera, but north would be the creation and the behavior would be south, for this intention, with yourself being in the middle of this compass, So you're taking this thing that's in your head and you're grounding it within your behavior, what you're doing every day, you know, and that's intention behind it and awareness behind it rather than being unintentional, rather than being unaware of these things. This can help you today start with whatever it is that you got cooking in here, which is your potential. But the one thing is with our mind, something that I talked about, um, the dual nature of our unconscious mind and our conscious mind. The unconscious mind is very prehistoric in its nature, is very immature in its nature, and is very unfinished in its nature, you know, and it's darkness, man. It has elements of everything, but it's hard to, as an individual, decipher all of that and make it make sense to you. Think of it like this: the unconscious mind, which we all operate off of, when we go to sleep, that unconscious mind wakes up full fledged. That's where these dreams come from. And the unconscious mind is even there. So when you're awake, you guys do your research on people like Carl Jung, um, Abraham Maslow, um, any people that's involved in that psychiatrists and psychology. Look this stuff up because these people pretty much study our psyche, and a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about goes on in our psyche. And with the confusion that's going on today with people, not taking themselves seriously, taking other people's opinion about themselves more serious than their opinion about their own self. That's a dangerous thing. That's a really, really dangerous thing. I talk about how dangerous that is all of the time, but it's also a dangerous thing to operate in this place of being an individual. It's very, very difficult, and if you don't have a guidance system, you can get lost in the sauce. Just because you're chasing your dream, that doesn't guarantee that that dream will be fulfilled. That's the most scariest thing of all time, and I keep telling y'all, every step of the way, I'm in the middle of this. I'm in the middle of it. So I get moments pretty much every day where I'm shook, man. I'm scared, being vulnerable right now. But at the same time, it's still not going to stop me because of the intention that I have. And my intention is to bring the best out of you guys in any means that I can, and doing this podcast is one of these elements. And there was a point when this was simply an idea, and I did not know how to go about doing this idea. But through that, shout out to Reagan, always giving her a shout out. Always, she was on this podcast. She started the 20 something collective. Very, very special human being, man. Very, very similar vision to mine, to be quite honest. But after, I would want to say this was last year, 2021. This was 4 months into me doing a podcast, and I was able to explain in 5 steps how somebody can create a podcast and everything that they need to do it. But 5-6 months prior to that, I didn't know that. I had to go through that process by myself as an individual, and not necessarily knowing if I was doing the right thing or not. And ultimately speaking, that's why I started doing what I was doing with basketball. Because with me playing overseas, playing in an ABA, it ultimately is that 14-year-old kid. I wanted to be that source of inspiration when it was all said and done to kids that was in similar situations. And I'm finding myself to this day, if I haven't talked about it already, I go to the YMCA 10, 15 minutes from my house, and I'm pretty much there every single day training. And the one thing that I do notice is that people do watch me. And also I get a lot of questions, man. And a lot of the questions either coming from a parent that's training their kids or a kid, or a high school kid or a middle school kid that's seeing me like I don't like really tooting my own horn, but like even right now, the way that I'm working out is really, really intense. It's involving me being in the weight room for an hour 10 minutes, and literally right after I go and hit the court for about 2 hours. So I'm working out for 3 hours and like 10 minutes, 3 hours and a half. You know what I mean? Typically, and I'm going really hard. I'm doing all of this at a really, really intense level. To be quite honest, it's just simply because of what I'm preparing for. Um, you know, just to let you guys in, I stopped playing basketball for a little bit last year because I got mentally and physically drained, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned that. And ultimately, um, a part of myself felt like it was dead and it was missing, um, due to the fact that I gave something that I love a up. Due to the fact that I didn't see a purpose in it anymore. And out of nowhere in September, I'm jumping all over the place. Here we go again. But in September of this year, I felt as though God spoke to me. I felt as though God blessed me with a huge source of inspiration and told me like this is it. Um, put your mind, body, and soul in this thing once again, full fledged. And ever since then, that's exactly what I've been doing. And before that point in September of 2022, I was on the fence, like I want to do it, but you know what I mean? I didn't take the action. That was the struggle for me in 2022 is I wanted to do it, but I wasn't doing it. The commitment wasn't there. The will to do it wasn't there. If you're not willing to do it, if you don't like, it's not a matter of feeling like it because even this whole process that I've been on, a lot of it, I haven't felt like doing it, if I want to be quite honest with you. But I knew it had to be done, and I was willing to do it. Now, willing is a totally different source, man. And the will, when tapped into, you guys don't even understand. It's a fire. It's literally a fire. It's a spark from the divine, you know, that we all been blessed with, you know what I mean? And I tapped into that will so much, so many times that naturally it gave me the gift of courage. To be quite honest, I can be met with crazy amount of odds that's stacked against me, but it still won't stop me at the end of the day from doing what it feels like I need to do, you know? Now, how do you develop that will, right? It starts with that behavior. You know what I mean? The will literally starts with the behavior. Just because you got the creation, you got the idea, you got the goal in your head, if you don't have that will, it will stay there. And the one thing about human evolution and human history and the repetitiveness of it, somebody's going to take a hold of this, you know. And like I said, that's a part of that unconscious mind, a collective unconscious that every last one of us operate off of. That why we able to feel similar feelings, why be able to think similar thoughts. You know what I mean? Because we're all human beings, man. We all face the struggle of survival together to make it this far. You know what I mean? To keep evolving, like your your family, your grandparents, your great great grandparents, their genetics is coursing through your veins right now. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of you, including myself, you got habits, you know what I mean, good, bad, and indifferent, that's similar to your parents, that's similar to your cousins, that's similar, you know what I mean, because of the environment, the thought process, and the lineage, like it's directly linked to you. And to make it here, to manifest and be alive and experience this thing is crazy. You being here is people talk about the lottery, and I say this all the time. People talk about lottery. You are the lottery ticket, man. You as an individual are the lottery ticket, and the fact that you even survive the odds to even get here at this moment is a telltale sign. You know what I mean? That you are something special. Don't take your own self for granted. Who gives a damn about what people think about you or anything? Um, but you have to have that will to bring that out. You know what I mean? You gotta have that fire to bring that out. And for me directly, that was basketball. Basketball, when I first started on a journey, I was freaking trash. You know what I mean? And throughout from 14 to 17, I was doing my due diligence on the court with, you know what I mean? For the most part, nobody ain't see, but when I stepped on that court, the one thing I love about basketball personally, it will always draw me to it, is that court accepts me for who I am, no matter how I'm feeling, no matter what. I can step on that court, and the court just like, welcome back, man, welcome home. And that's why I love it so much, man. I'm able to bring that intensity, that ferocity, with me every single time. And going back to, you know, the the gym that I train at, people see that, man. And I wasn't aware of it at first, but now I'm like becoming more and more aware of it. You know what I mean? And also, was people there literally that inspired me. A couple of weeks ago, um, there's this kid, man, and I've known this kid and his cousins and his family for such a long time, man. And he's in the eighth grade, but when I met him, he was like in the third grade, But I'm in a gym, um, and I'm shooting free throws. I'm pretty much about to head in here. When I shoot free throws, like literally, like I said, I broke down to you guys a couple podcasts ago, you know, my development of my skills on the court through the element of shooting a basketball and just breaking down the components of basketball, and how I was able to get better over time, you know, and just breaking things down to its most fundamental, basic thing and building upon that, which takes a lot of will, because like I said, this thing and I doing turnaround fadeaways like Kobe, reverse layups like Kyrie, shooting deep threes like Steph and all of that. That you gotta literally like same as every last one of those guys that I just named. It started with a foundation of them working on simple things. Still to this day, but they've been able to compound on it and doing it at a very very high, intense, advanced level with mad pressure. Night in and night out. And for me, that's what I want to get to. That's for me knowing that just just putting myself to the ultimate test of reaching my full potential, you know. And going back to the gym, I'm at the free throw line. I'm making 10 in a row or whatever, and I'm hearing this distinct bounce on the other side of the curtain, and it's like doom, 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 and I immediately knew what it was based off of me dribbling just like that. Um, Shout out to Steve. He got this workout regimen that I've been on for like the last 3 months, which the intensity like revs up every single month. It's kind of crazy. But you know what I'm saying, I'm getting gains, man. But it's this drill that I do for stability and balance where I'm standing on one leg and in one spot and I'm dribbling for 5 minutes and I'm alternating each leg pretty much every minute or every 30 seconds. And I'm just standing there and I go boom, 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 dribbling the ball as hard as I can. Like, and alternating crossovers behind the back, but really dribbling this basketball. So I know that sound and it's very, very distinct. And I knew what I was going to see when I peeked over, but when I looked and I seen him standing up against the wall, not standing up, he's near the wall, and he's sitting there doing it in the eighth grade. This thing that I'm talking about, I'm doing, it's not easy to do, believe it or not. It's very difficult, but he was doing it, and he was at it for a while, and I looked over, and I gave him a slow clap, man. I was very, very impressed, man. I'm not even gonna lie, and that was one of those things like, wow, he's watching me. And not only that, that inspired me. His work ethic inspired me. Like, I have to keep going. You know, that's just the type of person that I am in that building, that environment, that setting gives me that feeling. You know what I mean? But ultimately, I have to leave that and put everything to the test. For you guys that's out there, you don't want to be, you know what I mean, a big fish in a small pond. You want to challenge yourself, and that's ultimately where the real struggle is going to lie. The struggle that you're having in the same comfortable environment, doing the same thing. The struggle is coming from you knowing that you need a difference, different change of scenery, different friends. Probably need to break up with your girl. You know what I mean, or you know what I mean, your boyfriend, whatever. But ultimately, a lot of people just stay stuck in that rut, and next thing they know, they blink and 20 years go by, and that's what I'm saying. January 1st, this is very very important, man, to be aware of these things, and not only that, you have to act it out. You have to have the will to act it out, and it will be a struggle. Being an individual is a struggle because due to the fact you're an individual, that doesn't mean that you can survive by yourself. That doesn't mean that it's cool to be alone. You got to find a way to be the best version of yourself, to be the best individual you can be, to add to the collective. That's the hard part. Bring the elixir back to the people that need it. Bring the medicine back to the people. And oftentimes it takes you journeying to a place you never been before, to receive this elixir, to receive this medicine that the people back here home have no clue about. You know, yet again, that's a part of the hero's journey. That's a part of people. That's our life. You know what I mean? It's in stories and it's in books, but this is based off of true stuff. This is based off of our human existence. This is based off of our experience. You know what I mean? What goes on in our mind is identical with what goes on in our outer experience, you know. But the difference between the two is just that one you have proof, physical proof, and the other you don't. It's a huge trust factor that go with it, you know. And I know this stuff is resonating with you guys, and some of it probably like strike a serious nerve for you, like, oh man, I gotta do this thing, man. Like, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, like, I gotta do it. You never ever know in the long run how beneficial it's going to be for you, but not only that, the people that surround you. That I preach this constantly, you know, and throughout it all, you will struggle, and the struggle is oftentimes going to come from, like I said, surrendering and letting go. Stop fighting so hard. Take a different approach. Um, Ultimately, that's what I learned in my life. It's just that I'm naturally a warrior. I'm naturally a fighter. I'm naturally with going against the grain, you know. But oftentimes that's energy draining. Um, Oftentimes that leads to wasted time and me feeling defeated, you know, in the long run. And now I'm just trying to develop wholeness, develop my spirit, and also through that, do it practically and offer practical solutions for people to do that as well. When I talk about spirit, when I talk about um, all of these woo woo juju stuff, it has a lot to do, you know, if you guys aren't into like, you know, religious stuff, occult stuff, mystical stuff, then it's psychological then. You know what I mean? One or the other is one and the same, to be quite honest. It's just depending on how you look at that source, but it's still that source. That's that's ultimately what we all are trying to do. We all are trying to integrate our individual selves to the whole. So we feel like we're contributing. We feel like there's meaning to this. There's purpose, and also that people need us and see meaning within us and see, you know, purpose within us, and not just somebody to look past or look through, you know what I mean, or, you know, feel useless. You're not. You're the lottery ticket, you know. And that's the end of the podcast episode. We embarking on another year, you know, new year, new me, people. you know, change for the right reasons, see the bigger picture, and see how you can improve yourself. But not only that, improve, the world around you. I seen something real funny yesterday. I don't know if it was like a TikTok or a YouTube short, but a student asked the teacher like for a life lesson or a quote, and he said, "You boil an egg in water, it gets hard. You boil a potato in water, it gets soft. So it's not the environment, but it's how you respond to the environment." And I said, "Oh, mic drop. That's crazy. That's real talk." So essentially, that's the same exact thing. Um, it's how you respond to your environment rather than the environment itself. So you're struggling. We all are in the situations that we are in. How do you integrate that within yourself to move past it, to transform and ascend your present state to reach your maximum potential? Purpose Serve, we have the tools for that. And also, join the Purpose Serve community. I'm about to be doing webinars in the next, I want to say, 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to be a 6 week program, essentially helping you create this vision or purpose, and also a plan to act it out. Everything that I've been talking about. So that's going to be launching on the 20th of this month. So if you join the Purpose Served community, it will be free. If you're not a member, you will have to pay. And also building workshops as well. Check the content out that I have on the website, and all the different things that I have on the Purpose Served website, purposeserved.com, which will be in the description below. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel, download the podcast, and just share this, man. Share this information. The more you share, the more, Purpose Served grow, and the more that, I can provide more resources for you guys to maximize your potential. That's the goal. That will forever be the goal, is, you know what I mean, to help you serve your purpose. That's essentially the reason for Purpose Served. I thank you guys. I love you guys, and I wish you guys many, many freaking blessings for 2023. Thank y'all for tuning in with me yet again, man. I love y'all to death. Um, Serve your purpose. Treat the purpose as if this the goal, and take action towards it. That's the service, man. Yeah, love y'all, and I'm out. Last but not least.